Okay, this is going to be on making a batch of 6. In the last video I was going to, but I just decided not to. It would run too long. So this one is going to be just on making a batch of 6 25 grain powder cakes for these hazard cartridges. And so the items you're going to need your 6 molds. These I've already had just a quick swishing of graphite, so basically all I did was go in there, go like this with each one, and so they've been done already. And so you'll need your pre-compressing dowel, your stirring stick, your compressing cap here, and your funnel, the stirring bowl, and a scale, and a calculator. And I'm going to be using Swiss 4F black powder for this batch. You can use 3F if you want, but just use what you have. There's no set rule on that. The 4Fs might be they're very similar in speed, maybe a little slower, but it's really not that much of a difference. And so the first step here is calculating out the amount of powder you need for your 6 molds. So you want to take you want 25 grain cakes. So you want to times that by your molds. That gives you 150 grains. Now you want to measure out more than that, because if you just do it with 150 and you spill a little bit here, there, you put a little bit too much in the first 5, when you get the last one, you end up being really short. Even if you're only a tenth or 2 of a grain over your weight, so your first 5, say you were to go 0.2 grains over, you're going to be what, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. You'll be almost 1 grain short on your last one, so you'll end up with a 24 grain cake when you're done, and all the other ones will be 25. So you always want to add a little bit extra just in case. And I usually like to add about 2 grains extra for that. So I will add 2 grains to that, so now I'm up to 152 grains in total. So that is the amount of powder you would weigh out. And so you zero out your bowl and your scale and add 152 grains of your powder to your bowl. So it'll be basically 6 scoops here. And if you do go over the 152, don't worry about it, because as long as your dextrin is calculated off your number on your scale, it does not matter. I'll do this on purpose here. So, again, 250, ridiculous. So here I'm just going to go, let's see here, I'm going to go 252.9. Okay, so see, that's good. And so the next step is here. So what I'll do is I will go 152.9, and I will add 3% to that. So now my weight I want to get up to here is 157.48. So I'm just going to do 157.5. So I'm just going to round that number up, and I'll take my dextrin liqueur, and I will just add up. Now whatever, 158, that's fine, that's close enough for me. Just a fraction of a hair more of water per cartridge to evaporate or dry off, but it's not that much, so it's a half a grain more divided amongst 6. That's hardly nothing. And so you just want to be as close as you can. You don't have to be exactly perfect. So you're within a half a grain, that's fine. And so next step here is to mix it. And you want to basically just stir this in, and you want to, it always sticks to your my stirrer there, even though it's silicone. Just going to knock that off. And it does take longer to mix a batch than it does the individual ones, but it's the idea that I only have to mix and measure 1 time per batch. Instead of measuring 6 times and stirring 6 times, I only measure once and I stir once, and then I am done. So the stirring takes a little bit longer, and I kind of just hold my bowl down to the table with my 2 fingers like this. It kind of flattens out the bottom, and just kind of stir it and hold it in place. And you can see here there's a little bit of this sticks to my, so I will kind of knock this off like that. And so this stuff here that turns, basically some of this will powder will kind of break down, and this is kind of at least with the Swiss here, so this will kind of be the mortar mix that sticks the whole grains together. And so that's why it kind of looks like a a stone wall with mortar rather than a solid piece of concrete like the Schutzen does. And so just keep mixing this up. Make sure there's no lumps. Just get rid of all the lumps. The less lumps the better. Kind of squish the lumps out. And I'm being gentle with this. I'm not really grinding anything. Kind of just stirring it up. And there probably is I could probably make a little mixing machine, but that's getting too involved. I mean, at the factory, when they make the pellets with the machines, they would have done something similar to this, but they would have been mixing huge, multi-pound batches of this stuff. And so I will kind of go like this. A lot of times if I kind of go like this, you can kind of see the lumps will kind of settle out. They'll rise to the top a little bit. But that looks pretty good. No lumps. Maybe tiny little ones here and there. And so that's about it for that part of the mixing. I'll get this stuff out. And so the next step is you take this, and you'll need your scale again, and put your funnel in your mold. And so for each individual, so it's like my last video, it's the same calculation. So I got a 25 grain, I want to make a 25 grain charge plus 3% is 575. So I will fill this mold till I hit at least 25.8, 25.9. And that's where that margin of error with the little bit of extra added. So if I do go over a tenth or two, I'm not going to run short. So I can probably get away with going up to about 25.9, filling my mold without affecting the last one I filled. And so I'm going to do that in So I'm going to stop about 25.8 to 25.9 in filling each of these molds. Because it's really hard to get exact. Sometimes it's like you just, enough's enough fussing with, you know, filling these. And I like to use these little spoons I got here. I don't know. You can probably even use a popsicle. But I like using these so I can scoop some out if I have to. So I want to go up to my, see, I'm way over. Too busy talking, not paying attention. And you can see this is starting to stick to this edge here. And I think these bowls get seasoned. If you notice, it doesn't stick down here, but around the edge here, this will stick. So these bowls will kind of season themselves after a while, and you'll have less sticking problems. I won't pay over on that one. So there's 26. And so that's the difference between 25.7 and 26 is that tiny little pitiful amount, which, you know, there. That's what I'm looking for, 25.9. And so then you just take each one, go like this. How fast you can measure it is basically the choking point of doing these is if you can measure them fast, it speeds it up. But so that's my first one there. Take my next one, put it on my table. Get that out of the way. Gotta make sure you zero it each time, or you will run very short on the last one. Don't forget to zero out your scale with each one. And I usually look at the mold here, and I can see when I get to about that height, you kind of, after doing enough of these, you can kind of figure out exactly how high it is when you get close to 25 grains. And it's just like a splash more. Oh, it's yeah. Measuring is the hardest part of doing these. There's 25.8. I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm happy with that. And I usually go once, twice, a third time. Then I'll put the powder down below the surface. Put my cap on. Compress it. And I make sure you keep these in order. And so I will go to the next one here. Zero it out. Oh, look at that, 25.8 on the nose. That's the way you want every single one, just like that. And that's good, 25.8, 25.9, that's good for me. I'm happy with that. When you completely dry them out in the oven, if you want to go back through them and kind of like trim some off the sides or something, there's a little bit of flesh where the mold seam is. And you can actually just kind of, if you want exactly 25, you can kind of shave them down to exactly, if you want everyone exactly perfect. But if it's within 1 or 2/10 of a grain, I'm happy with that. And sometimes these scales are slow to react. So 1, 2, 3. And the last one, you just kind of tap it till it's level, put the cap on, squash that down. I definitely recommend getting a small vise or an arbor press or an old drill press or something to do this. It makes it a lot easier. And let's see, oh, that's 0. I'm going to 0 it again anyway. Alright, so let's see what the last one is. I might have a little left over. Five, 1, 3. Alright, so that's the amount I have left over, and so you can recycle that into the next batch or just put that in my extra container for my flintlock priming powder, or so in the priming pan. And so the next step here is to okay, so that's 6 filled. Now the next step is to remove them from the molds. And this is the cake from my last video, so I'm doing these back to back. And so that was the one made in the last video. And I like to kind of clean up as I go. Kind of helps. So then you start with the first one you did, and you will take the clamp off, take my O-ring off, and you can probably get rid of these O-rings if you want. I'm used to doing it that way. I need to put my glasses on. And so what you do is you push down and you rock this back and forth. Kind of like this, gently, and then pull the two halves away. So basically what you're doing is when you're pressing down on the table, you're basically causing the mold to slightly rock like this. And with the graphite in there, they basically fall right out, and there's no extra crumbs, no bits missing out of it. And so you can gently just pick that up. Put that in your, that's to go into the drying in the dehumidifier. Now, I usually like to put my clamps back on right after I'm done. But if you got kids, put them to work, make them do all this stupid little stuff. Go out, find some orphans somewhere. And then now I'm just kind of going like this with that. And so that next one is ready to go. And so I'm just going to get down to business here, and I'm going to remove all these. Yeah, so just kind of go like this, kind of wiggle them back and forth a little bit while pressing. I kind of press down the table, and sometimes they'll go like that. So if it sticks in this half, just kind of, then you just got to rock it. So whatever half it sticks in, you want to lean it towards that side. So this is the right side, so I want to lean over towards the right. Go like that. Bang, it'll pop right up. I'll put my lamp back on. Maybe go like this a little bit. Like that. Take the next one off. Push down on the table, wiggle it back and forth like this. Oop, you're done. And so I usually will just find a clean spot like that. Go to the next one. You know, press down, wiggle back and forth. And so with this method, there's no more waiting overnight, 24 hours. It's basically mere minutes. And I'm so glad Hugh Knight suggested this, because this works like an absolute charm. And most of this dust is always from the upper part of the actual powder cake that kind of flakes off there, and it's not that much. You can see it's just a very small fine amount. Make sure there's no loose grains of powder in there. You go like that. You're done. So now I can go to the next batch, and before I do that, I like to clean my paper off. Something like that. And then repeat the whole process again until you got however many you want. So that's about it. Thanks for watching.